will not vanish without a fight. We're going to live on. We're going to survive.
But understand something, every time you go out, you got to prove your stripes. Score of every game when you start, 0-0. You don't get to carry no points over, you don't get to carry anything over. You got to start and you got to finish. But here's the great thing. You control what happens to you.
What I say? Are we going to let them beat us? No. Let's get out there and get on.
What's up? What's up? What's up? My volume. I'm sorry. Appreciate that, Matt. Rawson, Peter Shields. Shout out to y'all, Montre, Peter Shields. Once again, I'm gonna go ahead and redo that because y'all couldn't hear my sound. My sound was off. But I was talking about Josh Farmer and Fitzy and Azarie. Um, Josh Farmer ran a 5.12, 5.14, I believe, in the 40 on his combine. It's gonna be interesting to see where he goes. Um, Me personally, I thought he would get at least a 4.9, but I mean the 5.1 is definitely not slow for a D tackle. It's about on average as long as it's cone, which I think they did the cone drills and he looked pretty good doing that. His shuttle time, it shows his quick explosiveness. That 40 time don't really matter. With Azarie, as I was saying, I'm sorry I was on mute. But with the Zaire, man, as long as he can hit a 4.49, that's where I think he'll hit. Um, I think he'll be all right there. I'm looking at his measurements to probably measure out about 6'1", maybe 6'1", 200, 205. That's my opinion. He could be anywhere from 6'2" to 6'1", 6 foot to 6'2". But if his 40 time is good, I think that could shoot him up the boards. If he runs under a 4.49, he definitely shoots up the boards. With the kickers, we don't know much. They don't ever show them, but Fitzy is definitely one of the best kickers in the country. I was definitely surprised that Mastromano didn't get an invite, also being one of the best specialists. But it'll be interesting to see going forward in the combine. I believe Steve is up there on site now. We'll be able to get some more information later with what's going on there, and definitely some interviews with our Knowles and as well as other other prospects and other draftees. But I wanted to move on because it's a topic I wanted to bring up and talk about. Definitely in the spaces, there's been a lot of discussion as well as the fan base about what to expect from the offense and what we're going to be looking at. And I believe there was a conversation about the offense being the same but different principles. And I believe there definitely is going to be different principles as far as what Gus wants to run. If Gus is truly has his hands completely on the offense, and you see Mike probably, you know, integrate a little bit of the passing schemes, because anyone who's watched Gus's offense knows that the passing game isn't necessarily complicated. So maybe Mike kind of, adds in a little bit there along with Harris. But I wanted to bring this up for our viewers, for you choppers. The last time these three were together, Mike Norvell was a grad assistant. Co-offensive coordinator Gus Malzahn and Herb Hand was the OC and later became a and was the offensive line coach and later became a co-OC. But in 2007, that was the first year that they worked together. They were sixth in the nation at Tulsa University. I think Chad Morris was a part of that staff also. Brennan Marion was also on that team as a receiver. And I believe one of the quarterbacks, not these 2 years, but later with them, G.J. King, the coach at Texas State, who's currently the head coach at Texas State and an up and comer, is off the Gus tree, was a quarterback on those teams. But that 2007 and 2008, they were sixth in the nation in 2007 and second in the nation in offense total. They averaged 41, as you see, and 47 in those respective years. I'll say this and I'll start speaking on what you could see possibly is a lot of people want to link it to possibly seeing a lot of Auburn things and maybe some mix of UCF. I think you're going to get more balance if Mike's involved with the passing game, which we're going to ask questions about. Okay, who's working with the receivers? There's been a lot of questions about Harris, knowing that he doesn't work with the receivers. He has a reputation of working with receivers a lot, other than just at UCF. I know primarily when he was at Miami, he worked with running backs, but he's definitely the biggest asset that he brings to the game is recruiting. But he also has produced two 1,000-yard receivers at UCF under him. He has called plays also. But with Gus's offense, it's kind of a hybrid single wing T on steroids. It's not as fast because of the new rule changes as it used to be when he was at Auburn. But I did some researching today. And I found that in his time from UCF to going all the way back to Auburn and Tulsa, I didn't research all Arkansas. It's only been one season where Gus Malzahn offense averaged less than 30 points. I believe that was in 2015. They averaged 27.5. So at the minimum, his offenses always averaged 30 or more points. He's had some anomaly years, of course. The year when he was the OC at Auburn with Cam Newton, they averaged 41. But even in those tough years with UCF, when he didn't have an elite passing quarterback, and he's never really had that, he still found ways to generate points, and they've always averaged on average of 30 to 32 points a game. So I'm saying that to say this: you add some things with Mike, his track record, and it's some of the same things we've said about him until last year, which was a crazy and anomaly type of year for FSU in general, 50 years, and then for Mike Norvell offense. Mike Norvell's track record when Gus left, he took over the OC job at Tulsa, and in his first year, they still remained in the top 10 in offense. I think they averaged like 38 points a game, and then the second year, his full year as the OC at Tulsa, they averaged 41. He moved on to Arizona State, and both the offenses, the years he was there, both of his offenses remained in the top 20, with two of those years, I believe, being top 15, and then so on at Memphis, where he definitely had offenses that stayed in the top 10. So when I'm saying that is look at the numbers, you see a lot of balance. Um, you see adjustments. I believe with Tommy Castellanos, you're going to see a lot more of the quarterback power, quarterback run game. You're going to see a lot of things going on with creative ways with jets and fly sweeps. You're going to see the vertical game still be there, the shots. I believe that's why they brought in receivers like Deuce Robinson and the Scott kid to go along with Squirrel White as a slot, kind of your jet sweep intermediate game. Um, with the tight ends, that's going to be interesting to see because I know Gus, when he was at at Auburn, he used the tight ends, but it was kind of more in the blocking scheme, sort of how Mike uses them, but it was a creative way he would do it. I think Mike would be a little bit more, you could see a little bit more passing game with the tight ends because of Mike's game. But let's start. I'm gonna start and bring this thing back and start with the offensive line because that's the obvious and glaring issue that has plagued Florida State for a while, but nothing like it has last year. I think last year's offensive line is the worst we've seen, I believe, since 2018 under Taggart, or 2017, one of those years. They brought in five guys. You brought in you got a kid from the cat from UCF. You got Vanderbilt, Gunnar Hansen from Vanderbilt. You got Pettibone from Wake Forest, and then you have Pettis from Ole Miss. I think the ideal and the one thing that you can say about this is they already have an understanding and established mindset of the identity of this team coming in on the offensive side of the ball. And it is definitely to run the ball. If you look at the 2008 Tulsa, you see the balance of 268 rushing of the 2008 Tulsa team. When I was doing my research and looking at Auburn, even with Gus at UCF, they typically average no less than maybe 170 yards rushing a game, if not more. So I say that to say this: running the football is the first thing, and first and foremost is the object, or the I'm sorry for the words, but it's it's the one thing that they want to do. It's the thing that they want to do is to establish the run game, which we know is some of the things we said last year going into last season. Run the ball, play action off of it. It is the philosophy of the offense overall. You look at anybody that's come under Gus's tree, Rhett Lashley. Uh, you look at some of the other coaches that's coached under him. It's the same philosophy, similar philosophies: run to set up the pass, shot plays, things like that. Where Gus makes it a little more creative is that he uses a lot of specifics to the wing T. You'll see a lot of quick motion, a lot of sugar huddle. If y'all don't know what the sugar huddle is, they kind of line up in the huddle and then they quickly run up to the line of scrimmage. I'm hoping to see some of those things, some elements from the single wing, a lot of misdirection. So I would expect a little more eye candy this year than we're used to seeing. A lot more motion, a lot more movement. Um, but definitely a lot of downhill. So the inside zone play is the key to the offense to start out with. They have to establish the inside zone first and foremost before we get into anything counter. I don't know how much counter we'll see as opposed to the past seasons. But we're definitely going to see a lot more downhill inside zone and then zone read type things, RPOs off of those. That's what I expect to see out of Gus's offense. With the wide receivers, I definitely think that there's going to be some creativity here and being able to generate passing game. I think that they may target one specific guy and then have another guy off of them. It's going to be interesting to see how they incorporate some of the other bodies like Hakeem Williams, Brown, Gibson. They just moved Makai Danzy over to wide receiver. The running back room, a lot of people saying, there is no one key guy. We still have Rodell Williams, you have Cam Davis, you have and what's his name? Keziah Holmes, Lucas is still there. It's going to be interesting to see exactly how they utilize because Gus is known to stick with one or two backs. He'll produce 1,000-yard back, or they'll share. He has proof of concept of sharing the load, and he'll have two 600 to 700-yard rushers going back to his Auburn days. And then one that followed him when he was the OC at Arkansas. We know about Run DMC, Felix Jones, Peyton Hillis, and Darren McFadden. So we know that track record. It'd be interesting to see how they utilize the Wildcat, if that's going to even be something, or do they come up with something totally different and new? Do they put their minds together and kind of come up with an offense for the system that they're running with the personnel that they have? They do have more pass catching tight ends that are probably better pass catchers than blockers. You add the young man from that transferred in from UCF. He's a hybrid tight end, much more of your H-back, can be more of a power kind of guy. You can utilize him in the blocking scheme, but he can also run and catch the ball also. So it'll be interesting to see how he's used. Biscuit returns, looking a little slimmer. It definitely would be an extra blocker on the line of scrimmage. And then of course Landon Thomas, and we don't know exactly what they plan to do with Amari Williams. Totally, does he play both sides of the ball, or do they leave him specifically for the defensive side? But just touching more with Gus, I'm very interested and intrigued to see if tempo plays a role in this, if we really go fast. And then secondly, is Thomas Cassiano's health. Can he stay healthy? Running the quarterback can definitely lead to some injuries and some nicks. I'm definitely wondering, will Brock be able to run this system? Also, he's a willing runner, so you have that first and foremost. He will be willing to run, but I know there is a track record of a player that Gus had at Auburn, Jarrett Stidham, that demonstrated a quarterback that wasn't a runner. He didn't have no more than maybe 100 or maybe 70 yards, I believe, one season rushing, and they still produced rush yards. I think it was with one year was Kerryon Johnson, another year was Cam Petway. Gus is going to generate run game. As long as our defense makes the biggest step it needs to make to keep the points down, we should average no less than 28, 29 to 30 points. If we can get 30 points a game, that's definitely a huge improvement from what we did last year. But it's going to be interesting to see. I'm also going to touch on some things, but we're going to move on and segue to our next topic. Hopefully the guys will pop in. But Choppers, feel free to chime in here. Definitely tap in with us. Get in the comments. This here is the top the top college basketball players of all time. There's been a lot of debate about who are the greatest. We're going to discuss a little bit about the five. I can give my five, and hopefully someone will comment in the comments and we can get going. My top five all time, I kind of give the nod a little bit more to these specific players because they did it as freshmen. Definitely Magic Johnson is not a freshman, so he's definitely one because he led his team to a national championship as a college player. The best I've ever seen, though, Carmelo Anthony is definitely going to be one as a true freshman leading your team to a national title. being the key cog in that wheel. Next up behind him at number 2 is Anthony Davis, who did the same thing, winning National Player of the Year. I think Anthony didn't average no more than 10 points a game, but when you average during there, 6.8 blocks, I believe, and definitely double digits in rebounds, you're definitely up there. That two players I've ever seen play in college, two of the best. Tim Duncan comes in at third for me. He never won a championship. He did get his team to the what's up, T Murray? He definitely got his team to the Elite Eight, I believe. He had some good, solid teams at Wake. He never could get over the hump. I think one year he had to face a stacked Kentucky team, so he couldn't get by. Another player that I saw that I think was one of the best I had ever seen in college, definitely Kevin Durant. He's one of the best in NBA history, but his numbers he put up in college, he averaged a double double, high 20, low 20s in points per game, and then double figures in rebounds. Definitely his impact on that Texas program was big. That's three of my guys right there, and they were all freshmen when they did what they did. Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson was one of the best I'd ever seen in college. That 96 season was one special because it produced so many players in the draft that ended up being some of the best NBA players in the last 50 years and the 75 years of their history. 96 season, it produced Antoine Walker. You had Kerry Kittles, Allen Iverson, Ray Allen came out of that draft. I think Steve Nash came out of that draft. Then one Kobe Bean Bryant was in that draft. He didn't go to college, but he was in that draft that year. So one of the greatest drafts in 96 produced that kind of talent. But another player, I was young, but I was able to see a little bit of college player, Patrick Ewing. Patrick Ewing was really one of those kind of impactful freshmen and definitely impact players in college to be able to get his team to what I think they went to two or three final fours. Georgetown did, I think, winning one, I believe, and then they lost to Villanova one year. I think it was 86. That's my four. And then my fifth one, I'm a Kentucky born kid, so I had to give some credit to this other freshman. Anyone remember the name Purvis Ellison? He led Louisville to the 80, I believe it was the 86 or 85, something like a championship. I have to go get the right numbers. But 85 championship as a true freshman. And, that was even rarer, even in more rare air than it is now. More freshmen are more impactful now than they were back in the 80s and beyond. But because they didn't even play, they had rules where they had to sit. But Purvis Ellison coming in as a true freshman and being able to lift Louisville to a national title in his freshman year was real impactful. But we can move on. I got another top five I wanted to bring up, and this is going to be a short show. We'll probably keep it about 30, 35, 40 minutes. This was on the timeline, and it made me think because this list really caught me off guard with the number at the slots and where they had the actors. But I wanted to ask our choppers. Yep, T Murray, thank you for tapping in with that. Never nervous Purvis, most definitely. I wanted to tap in with y'all about this one here, man. I really need y'all to get in on this top five right here. The greatest black actors in film history. Now, this is just the male actors, not actresses. We'll touch on that another time. But as you see, Denzel, I don't have much to argue there. Morgan, in my opinion, I would have slid him down to 4. Samuel, maybe at 5. I don't think Chadwick necessarily belongs in the top 10. You got to, because the criteria has to be their range, their ability to act, not just their blockbuster films. You see, because you see actors like Sidney Poitier is not on here. Of course, you can throw Will Smith in there, but there's actors like Andre Brower. But if you're talking about acting chops, there's no reason that Forrest Whitaker and James Earl Jones are not in the top 5. You have them out there. Eddie Murphy's range as a comedian and a comedic actor. You have different genres. So you have your action actors, you have your thriller and your drama actors, and then you have comedic actors, and then you have some that can do all of them. But for this list alone, I would have had James Earl Jones. My 1 is Denzel. My 2 is James Earl Jones. My 3, I would put Forrest Whitaker at 3, Morgan Freeman at 5. I mean at 4. and then Eddie Murphy at 5, Jamie Foxx at 6. I'm definitely. Oh, I would add Sidney Poitier also in there. Andre Brower is another name. Don Cheadle is another name. I see you, Chad. What you got here? You got Sidney Poitier, James Earl Jones, Samuel L. Forrest, Billy D. Williams. Yes, I threw that name up there too. I mentioned it on the timeline. It's a lot of actors that we're leaving out. If you're doing a top 10, it gets really interesting. Charles S. Dutton is another name you can throw in there. Um, if we're talking acting chops here, man, we're not just talking box office. We're talking about the whole kit and caboodle. There, you can't have a conversation about top 10 and you got James Earl Jones at number 7. I'm like, he's in that conversation for being the voice actor for Darth Vader and Mufasa alone, outside of just his own screen and on stage. You know, Forrest Whitaker. How many movies has Forrest Whitaker been in that's been Academy nominated or he's won one for? We can't do that. Danny Glover. Um, I don't have a problem with him on the list. I don't know if I would have him necessarily in my top 10. He would be just outside of 10 at maybe 11. Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx's range, the ability to play in action and in dramatic movies, and he's been also nominated. I believe did he won for best in his role for Ali. He played what's the name? Yeah, Field of Dreams. James L. Jones. Thank you. Field of Dreams was another movie that he did. I think he acted in Fences too as a play. Before Denzel did it on screen, James Earl played that same character in the play. So I mean, Samuel L. also is another one of those guys who started out on like Broadway and the theater before he hit the big screen. And you know, Sam is one of them guys. His acting range is bigger than just a bunch of curse words and stuff that we know him for. He has a lot of range. Lawrence Fishburne, as Larry, as he once was called back in the day before he got bigger. We know him much more from what the Matrix movies. He has some range. I don't know if I would have him in the top 10. I would have him maybe between 12 and 13. But you definitely have to have Sidney Poitier. I'm sorry, James Earl Jones, Sidney Poitier, Forrest Whitaker first, then Samuel L. Jackson. Then you throw Eddie Murphy and Jamie Foxx in there. Even with Harry Belafonte, even though I know he also sang too. What's another actor? I'm trying to think myself. It's another black actor. I also mentioned Andre Brower. Anybody knows his work in Glory alone, Homicide when he played that show, Get on the Bus. He had a lot of roles where he was very strong. Um, and it's something I think we talked about and it's been mentioned in the space too when it comes to actors and black actors. As you see, a lot of our African American actors, you don't see a lot of. Yeah, Sam was good in Pulp Fiction. A lot of our African American actors have been kind of replaced with our English brothers and sisters or brothers coming across from across the water. And I find it interesting because they'll ask an Englishman to play the role of a black man from the streets in the United States. And I'm like, I know we got actors that can do that. We got actors with range, and it's interesting to see a lot of our young African American actors are not necessarily getting the screen time that our British or English or European across the pond African brothers are getting these roles like Daniel Kaluuya and so on. And it doesn't mean they're not good actors. It's just it's interesting to see that we're not seeing a lot more of our American born or United States born actors getting certain roles. It's usually this tight knit gatekeeping type. Yeah, Idris was good in the Wire, Tim, but he's also another one of those brothers from across the pond. And you had an English man sounding like he's from Baltimore, right? In the Wire, but he did a good job though. Anthony Mackie. If you watch the Captain America movie, he did a great job carrying that movie. It's some good things about it, and it's some bad things about it. But yeah, Jeffrey Wright is another one. Jeffrey Wright playing a Dominican in Shaft was hilarious. But yes, he has a lot of other movies that he's played, civil rights based movies. That last movie, I believe he was a writer. I haven't watched it yet, but I believe it won an Academy Award or it got nominated for one. Jeffrey Wright is another one of those good actors. But it's I find it just crazy, man, that we don't have a lot more guys or men or women that are getting some of these roles. You're seeing a lot more foreign born, especially males, black males get these roles. But I'm gonna move on and we're gonna touch on some things, man. The next thing I want to touch with, man, we're gonna hit with some of our crash outs here, and y'all know what time that is. It's crash out time, man. All right, I'm gonna bring this up. We're gonna start this motherfucker right here. I don't know what the fuck we doing, but it definitely is fuck around and find out season. And this young man unfortunately lost his life. Um, his wife claims that he came home intoxicated from the club, cleaning her gun, and he ended up shot. I don't know all the details of the story, but if you go online and you follow this guy and some of the things he said, hey, you get exactly what you deserve in certain situations. I don't wish it on nobody, but I just find it very it's saddening and it's very suspicious that we continue to see these things. But I'm gonna bring this up. Something his family had said. This is what I was saying, trying to show. This is why I've been staying off here. Y'all sorry some bitches got so much to say. Damn right, my brother ain't want no bagging ass black B, as y'all can see. Just like y'all hoes barely want the the pro broke ass nigga you laying next to. His family pretty much tells you what they're about, and it is what it is. Um, I guess they expected the reaction from the community to be one of outrage, and this is just us looking at it. Hey, you fucked around and found out. We hate that it happened. It's suspect. We justice come. We want you to have justice, but ain't nobody crying over this shit for real. That's how I feel about it. But I'm gonna bring this one up. This is another crash out, and it's once again our boy Cam Killer going at Chad, and it is wild. And he actually has some more to say that he's gonna be coming up on the next thing. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna play this for y'all to hear, and y'all just listen to it. Shout out to It Is What It Is, Cam and Mace for this footage.
Freaky ass niggas need to keep their ass inside, man. You know what I'm saying? This is what they need to do, man. Fuck is you telling another grown man about you getting your tool piece a little bigger, man? I don't really fuck with Chad or Chosinko, to be totally honest with you. He all right, but at the end of the day, when we started this show, the nigga was hating from the very beginning. We started the show. We was doing very well. It was very successful. We didn't have no deal, no sponsors or nothing. We was doing this off the muscle. He comes out of nowhere talking about, yeah, I'm gonna get myself back together and I'm taking Cam's spot. Why the fuck you gotta take my spot, nigga? Fuck is you talking about? You've been a football player your whole life, nigga. Now because I'm doing sports, you come and take my spot. And at that particular time, we had only been doing the show about 2.5 months, 3 months. But that's how much of an impact that I had that bitch ass nigga felt threatened. You know what I'm saying? Then after that, we try to call him. Shout out to my nigga Bub. My nigga Bub knows some niggas he know. I tried to give him a job. He like, yo, talk to my agent. I said, I'm talking to you now. What the? I don't do business like that. I talk to my agent. See, you so dumb, you can't even speak for yourself, stupid motherfucker. I tried to offer you more paper than you probably get now. Ask Mark Jackson how he got paid. Ask Mike Irvin how much he got paid. Ask them niggas if they was living lovely off the checks me and Murder was sending them niggas. Ask them. I bet you ain't getting paid the money that Mark Jackson and Mike Irvin got paid working with us. I don't know this for a fact, but ask Mike Irvin and ask Mark Jackson if they get paid lovely. And if I threaten niggas like you, this is why you going to do the shit you doing.
Now I do have some footage of a rebuttal. Chad Johnson definitely went back at Cam. If I can get it here. Hold on one moment. I have to find it. I definitely have it. But yeah, Chad went back at him on the show. Here we go. I got it. Just bring it up here. Bring it up for y'all to see if you haven't seen it on the timeline.
Cam has some stuff to say, and I had to think about it, and I had to listen to it, and
Shout out to
think about some
Chad
stuff that was brought up 2 years ago, where I said, "Cam, you my man's, and I'm coming for your spot." Now I'm not sure how that's taken as hate when all you have to do is understand that I'm saying I'm coming for your spot because I see you as the standard that is setting the bar in that specific space. So you took that as an insult, which is weird to me. I'm not sure how you can do that. But if you check the if you check the numbers, what I said I was going to do, I've already done and surpassed that in this specific space. Now he said he asked me to come join them, to do something with them, and I told him, okay, you got to check with my people. You got to reach out to my people who. When it was time for me to work with you, what did I ask you to do? Reach out to who?
I talked to Doug.
You talked to Doug. So boom, we did, like that. Right. That's the way I handle business. I don't run nothing through me. So I guess that was seen as a sign of disrespect because I chose to come over here with you. Boom. Okay. Now we brought up the issue with he talking about money and bags and how much you pay guest feature. How much we pay our guest features. Buddy, I ain't no guest feature. Boy, I'm the main attraction. What is you talking about? I always been the main attraction. There's a difference. In your lane, you do what you do. I'm in completely different lanes and completely different rooms from you, despite me always playing around and joking. It's different. For one, you wouldn't have been able to afford me to begin with. Let's start there. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I think because I do everything in an entertaining, fun, laughing way, you kind of forget and don't really understand what's being done over here and how special what we have is. And that's no disrespect to them because I like they show. I love It Is What It Is because it's different than what we do. Mm-hmm. Their views, they got some high ones, but it's mainly about going at people and jigging at people, Over here, it's about having fun, entertaining, and the stories.
Yeah.
Completely different. 2 different shows. I love them though. Yeah. Then, Cam, he's a Harlem dude. I've been to Harlem. My face is clean in Harlem. Most of the time, those that I know from Harlem, they don't act like that.
But I'm gonna show y'all one more footage. The latest footage. There is another response that just dropped a little bit ago. It's from Killer and Mace. Let me bring it up here for you. And this is the third thing. So stay tuned.
We have a lot to talk about. Sports too. There are some people chatting. I don't know if you, Cam, have seen it yet or Mace yet.
Who?
On the internet. Ocho Cinco had a response to Cam and some words about the show. Talking about numbers, views, talking about somebody can't be afforded, where he's going to be at, where he's posted up. He's good in Harlem.
Who can't afford it?
Things.
What?
Apparently, he's saying y'all can't afford him. And a lot of other things. So, yeah.
Well, listen. I'll be back.
Killer, wait, Killer. Every time I call you, Killer, and say, I'm going to grow up. This is what happened. I told you. How you get? See, 24. We had to push 2024 back to 2025. I'm like, go ahead, Killer. I'm gonna chill out.
Oh no! I was saying that I'll be back in the studio tomorrow. I'll adjust it because I got to find out everything you said. I don't know. I'm late. Like I said, I wasn't feeling well yesterday, but now that I know, I feel a little better now, actually. But I'll wait till I get in the studio tomorrow. We'll see how it goes from there.
What did he say again?
He said a lot of things, and I will definitely catch you guys all up to speed because y'all know I'm on Twitter, and I know y'all probably wasn't even seeing that, but yeah.
Oh, man.
On Nike.
Yo, bro.
So. Yeah.
This is the Tito Jackson shit I told you, brother. This is what happens when you do shit with you can't go back and forth. Not only that, he's a habitual woman hitter.
Wait,
His
Killer,
butts,
chill.
I'm saying, I just, this is on top. I don't know how niggas working with a habitual female hitter. If Shannon Sharp and whoever other networks want to work with somebody who actually headbutts females, cool, but we'll address it tomorrow. My bad.
I'm gonna leave it right there. Hey, to be fucking tuned, man, because he just accused him of being of domestic violence and having a history of that. So it's gonna be interesting to see where this goes. I think I had one more crash out I wanted to touch on before we move in, but also I wanted to, before we do that, please like, share, and subscribe. If you're on Twitter, please go over to YouTube, hit the thumbs up, watch 11 seconds just to help the algorithm, help us grow. We really appreciate you. I didn't drop that before, but please like, share, and subscribe. We want to give a shout out to Master P. Most definitely is now the University of New Orleans has hired him as the new president of basketball operations. It's going to be interesting to see what he does. It's on a smaller scale in the city of New Orleans, his home. You know, New Orleans is a smaller school, so it'll be something that, you know, generating funds shouldn't be a big issue. It's gonna be interesting to see them vending machines loaded with rap snacks and everything else, though. But just congratulations, continuing to find ways and continue to be a hustler. Another crash out. No, I had one more thing I wanted to touch on, and we can touch on some other subjects later. Because I wanted to get into this other topic with y'all. This here, yes, this was the one I wanted to bring up. 22-year-old Damian McDaniel charged with 14 murders over 14 months, allegedly responsible for 8.6% of the violent deaths in Birmingham. You basically got a serial killer. He allegedly murdered a firefighter, a UPS worker, killed a woman, unalived a woman at a club, and was involved in 2 mass shootings in the city in 2024. Man, I don't even know what to say. It definitely mentally ain't there. Mentally, he's not there. That's all I can say. And throw his ass under the jail, as 438 would say. Bury his ass under that bitch. But shout out to our choppers once again. What you say, Rawson? She didn't say anything about Ocho giving them props. You definitely right. You know what? Rawson, I'm gonna add this about her because somebody said it on the timeline about her. She was instigating a little bit by leaving stuff out with Ocho. And then she's a Miami grad. So I'm gonna let y'all take that for what it's worth. If you didn't know, she's a Miami grad. And nothing, yeah, no, they don't sell like drama. You damn right, man. And drama is what it is. You know, the drama's gonna keep us entertained. A lot of us want to, but like I said, the woman who is the what's the name for It Is Like It Is, she's a Miami grad, and you know they already gonna keep shit up anyway. It is what it is. But this is what I wanted to touch base with y'all with. I wanted to talk as we get ready to close out the month of February. I always want to make sure, and it don't just have to be because it's February, but I wanted to make sure I let you guys in on a little something here about some more interesting names or facts. And the first person I want to bring up before we close out is one Garrett Morgan. Garrett Augustus Morgan was born March 4th, 1877, and he passed in July 27th, 1963. He was an inventor and a businessman. His most notable inventions were the three-way traffic light and a protective smoke hood. These would be the precursors to our common traffic lights we use today and the gas mask. Morgan was born in Paris, Kentucky, African-American community. His father name was Sidney Morgan. He was a son of a freed slave, and a freed slave of the Confederate General John H. Morgan of Morgan's Raiders. His mother was also a freed slave, was Elizabeth Reed. He spent most of his teenage years working as a handyman for a Cincinnati landowner. And like many African-American children growing up at the turn of the century, he had to quit school at a young age to work full time. But just to see a lot of things that we don't know or we take for granted as daily inventions or gadgets that we don't talk about or think about, who they were invented by. And you also have to understand that a lot of these inventions during that time, the patents either weren't allowed, they were blocked, or the inventions were stolen. So the creators and developers did not, or the inventors did not get the credit that they deserved for it, and was given to others. Other notable things that we all know, Tennessee, what is it, Kentucky whiskey, Tennessee whiskey. The original recipe was created by a bootlegger who was a black man, but he couldn't patent that, and it was taken by that family or whatever it was, allegedly. And whoever has the rights to it now, that family, he didn't get the credit for it. Another name I wanted to bring up was one, and I'm gonna bring this up. His name is Dr. Richard Drew, and I'll read it out to you. With an MD and a master in surgery, pursued a doctor in medical science degree at Columbia University in 1938. There, his interest in blood preservation led him to develop a method of separating red blood cells from plasma, extending the blood storage beyond the then 1 week limit. The ability to store blood, or as Dr. Drew called it, banking the blood for longer periods of time, meant that more people could receive transfusions. Drew documented these findings in a paper that led to the first blood bank. Later, while overseeing blood preservation and delivery in World War II, he became the director of the inaugural American Red Cross blood bank for the United States Army and Navy, which served as a model for blood banks today. However, Drew resigned his position because the armed forces insisted on separating blood by race and providing white soldiers with blood donated from white people, not African Americans. Drew knew the race made no difference in blood composition, and he felt that this move would cost too many lives. He returned to private life as a surgeon and medical professor at Howard University, where he worked until his death in 1950. Dr. Drew. Now, if you look at him, he looked like a little Creole, but that is a black man, Dr. Richard Drew. American Red Cross, the blood banks, blood donations that you see today, inspired and invented by African American male. Another contribution. And make sure that you pass this around, look him up, study, always do some research, find out about other achievements, because there's a lot more than that. Let's see here. What you got here? Tim Watts, Nathan, Uncle Nearest Green's taught Jack. Thank you, sir. That I couldn't remember his name. Yes, Uncle Nearest Green taught Jack Daniels how to distill. Appreciate that. And that was his recipe, which Jack Daniels took and turned it into what it is today. Everything from the drink to the bourbon to the burger to the shrimp, all of that. You know, Nearest. I don't know if Green's family is getting any residuals from the whiskey company, but they definitely deserve it, because he's not here to get any. I don't know how much he got. I didn't do the research on it. I don't think he got anything. But guys, that's pretty much it. I just want to tap in. It's gonna be sometimes like this. We're gonna have pre-recordings. We really appreciate the 74 of you that are watching, and we thank y'all. We just want to tap in and let y'all know that we're gonna stay faithful to producing the show. Sometimes it may be one of us. It's gonna be 4. It could be 2 or 3. We have busy schedules outside, so we just want to make sure we continue to give our choppers something to learn. I always hope that y'all thinking, and you know, whether it's FSU, whether it's life, we're going to talk about it all. We're going to touch on it. We just really appreciate everybody for tapping in. Once again, thank you, Candle Lady. Appreciate Domo Athletics. Shout out to our choppers once again, Tim Watts, Chad, Rawson. Appreciate you for being in here. T. Murray, Peter Shields, most definitely. Montre, all of you who watching, even if you didn't mention anything in the chat, we really appreciate everybody. We thank y'all. Hey, peace out.
We will not vanish without a fight. We're going to live on. We're going to survive.